President Obama, OK, on the website. I was not informed directly that the website would not be working the way it was supposed to. Had I been informed, I wouldn't be going out saying, boy, this is going to be great. I'm accused of a lot of things, but I don't think I'm stupid enough to go around saying. This is going to be like shopping on Amazon or Travelocity a week before the website opens if I thought that it wasn't going to work. So clearly, we and I did not have enough awareness about the problems in the website. Even a week into it, the thinking was that these were some glitches that would be fixed with patches. As opposed to some broader systemic problems that took much longer to fix and we're still working on them. So that doesn't excuse the fact that they just don't work. But I think it's fair to say that, no, Garrett Major. We would not have rolled out something knowing very well that it wasn't going to work the way it was supposed. Given all the scrutiny that we knew was going to be on the website. With respect to the pledge I made that if you like your plan, you can keep it. I think, and I've said in interviews, that there is no doubt that the way I put that forward unequivocally ended up not being accurate. It was not because of my intention not to deliver on that commitment and that promise. We put a grandfather clause into the law, but it was insufficient. Keep in mind that the individual market accounts for 5% of the population. So when I said you can keep your healthcare, I'm looking at folks who've got employer-based healthcare. I'm looking at folks who've got Medicare and Medicaid, and that accounts for the vast majority of Americans. And then for people who don't have any health insurance at all, obviously that didn't apply. My commitment to them was, you're going to be able to get affordable health care for the first time. You have an individual market that accounts for about 5% of the population. And our working assumption was that the majority of those folks would find better policies at lower costs or the same costs in the marketplaces. And that the universe of folks who potentially would not find a better deal in the marketplaces, the grandfather. Clause would work sufficiently for them. And it didn't. And again, that's on us. Which is why that's on me. And that's why I'm trying to fix it. And as I said earlier, I guess last week, and I will repeat. That's something I deeply regret because it's scary getting a cancellation notice. Now, it is important to understand that out of that population, typically there is constant churn in that market. This market is not very stable and reliable for people. So people have a lot of complaints when they're in that marketplace. As long as you're healthy, things seem to be going pretty good. And so a lot of people think, I've got pretty good insurance until they get sick and then suddenly they look at the fine print. And they've got a $50,000 out-of-pocket expense that they can't pay. We know that on average over the last decade, each year, premiums in that individual market would go up an average of 15% a year. I know that because when we were talking about healthcare reform, one of the complaints was, I bought healthcare in the individual market and I just got a notice from the insurer, they dropped me after I had an illness. Or my premium skyrocketed by 20 or 30%, why aren't we doing something about this? So part of what our goal has been is to make sure that that individual market is stable and fair. And has the kind of consumer protections that make sure that people don't get a rude surprise when they really need health insurance. But if you just got a cancellation notice, and so far you're thinking, my prices are pretty good. You haven't been sick, and it fits your budget, and now you get this notice, you're going to be worried about it. And if the insurer is saying the reason you're getting this notice is because of the Affordable Care Act, then you're going to be understandably aggravated about it. Now, for a big portion of those people, the truth is they might have gotten a notice saying, we're jacking up your rates by 30%. They might have said, from here on out, we're not going to cover X. Y and Z illnesses, we're changing the because these were all 12-month policies. The insurance companies were under no obligation to renew the exact same policies that you had before. But, look, one of the things I understood when we decided to reform that health insurance market. Part of the reason why it hasn't been done before and it's very difficult to do. Is that anything that's going on that's tough in the healthcare market, if you initiated a reform, can be attributed to your law. And so what we want to do is to be able to say to these folks, you know what? The Affordable Care Act is not going to be the reason why insurers have to cancel your plan. Now, what folks may find is the insurance companies may still come back and say, we want to charge you 20% more than we did last year, or we're not going to cover prescription drugs now. But that's in the nature of the market that existed earlier. Question: did you decide, sir, that the simple declaration was something the American people could handle? But this nuanced answer you just gave now was something that you couldn't handle, and you didn't trust the American people with a fuller truth? President Obama, no. I think, as I said earlier, Major, my expectation was that for 98% of the American people, either it genuinely wouldn't change at all, or they'd be pleasantly surprised with the options in the marketplace, and that the grandfather clause would cover the rest. That proved not to be the case. And that's on me. And the American people, those who got cancellation notices, do deserve. And have received an apology from me. But they don't want just words. What they want is whether we can make sure that they are in a better place, and that we meet that commitment. And, by the way, I think it's very important for me to note that there are a whole bunch of folks up in Congress and others who made this statement, and they were entirely sincere about it. And the fact that you've got this percentage of people who have had this impact, I want them to know that their senator or congressman They were making representations based on what I told them and what this White House and our administrative staff told them. And so it's not on them. It's on us. But it is something that we intend to fix. Steve Collinson. Question: do you have reason to believe that Iran would walk away from nuclear talks if Congress draws up new sanctions? And would a diplomatic breakdown at this stage leave you no option but military action? And how do you respond to your critics on the Hill who say that it was only tough sanctions that got Iran to the table? But only tougher sanctions will make it capitulate? President Obama, well, let me make a couple of points. Number 1, I've said before and I will repeat, we do not want Iran having nuclear weapons. And it would be not only dangerous to us and our allies, but it would be destabilizing to the entire region. And could trigger a nuclear arms race that would make life much more dangerous for all of us. So our policy is Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. And I'm leaving all options on the table to make sure that we meet that goal. Point number 2, the reason we've got such vigorous sanctions is because I and my administration put in place. When I came into office, the international structure to have the most effective sanctions ever. And so I think it's fair to say that I know a little bit about sanctions. Since we've set them up, and made sure that we mobilize the entire international community so that there weren't a lot of loopholes and they really had bite. and the intention in setting up those sanctions always was to bring the Iranians to the table so that we could resolve this issue peacefully, because that is my preference. That's my preference because any armed conflict has cost to it. But it's also my preference because the best way to assure that a country does not have nuclear weapons is that they are making a decision not to have nuclear weapons. And we're in a position to verify that they don't have nuclear weapons. So as a consequence of the sanctions that we put in place, and I appreciate all the help, bipartisan help, that we received from Congress in making that happen, Iran's economy has been crippled. They had a -5% growth rate last year. Their currency plummeted. They're having significant problems in just the day-to-day economy on the ground in Iran. And President Rouhani made a decision that he was prepared to come and have a conversation. With the international community about what they could do to solve this problem with us. We've now had a series of conversations. And it has never been realistic that we would resolve the entire problem all at once. What we have done is seen the possibility of an agreement in which Iran would halt advances on its program. That it would dilute some of the highly enriched uranium that makes it easier for them to potentially produce a weapon. That they are subjecting themselves to much more vigorous inspections so that we know exactly what they're. Doing at all their various facilities, and that would then provide time and space for us to test. Over a certain period of months, whether or not they are prepared to actually resolve this issue to the satisfaction of the International community making us confident that, in fact, they're not pursuing a nuclear weapons program.